Introduce you now. We've never met in person, but I've heard a lot of wonderful things about you. So I'm just going to read a quick bio. I know, Brother Jimmy, you're my neighbor to the north up at King's. Brother Jimmy was born and raised in Greenwood, Indiana. He completed bachelor's and master's degrees at the University of Notre Dame and then served at St. Joseph's Parish in Srimangal, Bangladesh. Today, Brother Jimmy joins us from King's College in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, where he's one of the college's campus ministers and also serves as Assistant Director of Residence Education. And this morning, Brother Jimmy is going to be talking to us about, again, a primary goal and one of the greatest gifts that Holy Cross gives, and that is education in the faith. So, Brother Jimmy, welcome.
Thank you. And thank you to the Holy Cross Associates, now Spes Unica Associates, for welcoming me to share with you all. It's really an honor. I have been asking myself a lot over the last few months preparing this, like, how did they pick me? But I'm really, really grateful for this opportunity. As I look around at the some of the attendees, I know many people here, which is an honor. It's great to see friendly faces that I know will be forgiving of me as I share with you all. But I hope that, yeah, I can share a little bit from my own experience. So Paul gave a good introduction of who I am, where I am. I've been a Holy Cross brother now for about 7 years, making my final vows a few years ago. And as Paul said, I'm at King's College working in residence life. So my main role right now is as Assistant Director of Residence Education. So I'm overseeing all of our resident assistants, those like student leaders who live in the halls, but I'm also like rebuilding our education or like our residence curriculum. Our hope that we can articulate kind of clearly what are the benefits of living on a college campus at King's specifically. Like, how do we help you learn and grow by living in one of our residence halls? So that's what I do day to day. But I'm really honored to be here to help us reflect on gifts to give. When Jessica was presenting the mission statement, so simple, straightforward, and beautiful. Grow spiritually, form community, and serve others. My reflection today is not like organized around that, but as I think about that, there's a lot that I probably could reorganize this talk to fit those three themes of growing spiritually, forming community, and serving others. So I hope we kind of keep our ears out for that as I share today. So gifts to give. This is our theme. This is the theme that the students wrote on. Our theme for our conference today, gifts to give. And to me, January is a perfect time to be reflecting on gifts to give. It's a new year, a new semester. King's just started 4 days ago, so I still feel like it's a time of fresh beginnings. And beginnings are a great time to look back and see, what gifts have I already received? What gifts have I been blessed with? And a time to look ahead and to think of what gifts I have to give. I at least know as I look back in my own life, I feel richly blessed. I feel so blessed to be a part of the work of Holy Cross, to be surrounded by people who are passionate about Holy Cross, and serving the Lord and bringing the good news to people who might otherwise feel alone or abandoned. And my experience has been, as I imagine many of you too, that as we share our gifts, we see them multiplied. As we reflect back and see those gifts, instead of grasping onto them for ourselves and we share them, we see that they grow and expand. So my role today is to help us reflect on the gift that we, as the Holy Cross family, that gift that we have to give. I believe we have a lot of gifts to give. I don't think it can be boiled down to just one singular point. But the thought that kept coming back to me as, what is that kind of special gift Holy Cross offers? I kept returning to education. As I look around, I do know for a fact that many of you are either connected with Holy Cross or engage Holy Cross, participate in the work of Holy Cross through education. For those who are on the video screen, can I get like hands raised for like a sense of people who have or currently are in the realm of education in some way? Awesome. Yeah, that's kind of what I expected. That's great. That's what we do. That's a lot of what we do is education. And so I wanted to think, kind of a chance to reflect on um, how we are already participating in that work of sharing the gift of education through Holy Cross. Later today, we'll hear from Dr. Marco Clark and from Sister Mary Kay about Fathers Dujarie and Moreau and the gifts that they had to offer. Um, and I think as members of Holy Cross, we share those gifts. They pass them down to us, and we now are the ones bringing those gifts to the world. So I have three hopes for the end, or at least I hope to accomplish one of these three things for you in our talk. To strengthen our commitment to sharing these gifts we have, to deepen our understanding of those gifts, and to renew ourselves with zeal for sharing those gifts. I think those are, we come together in a conference as a time to kind of hit pause and to say, okay, this is the commitment I've made. How can I strengthen myself in that commitment? To hit pause and say, how can I understand this a little bit more deeply? But then also to kind of leave refreshed and renewed with zeal for, I want to bring this, continue to bring this to the world. All right, education. I often, yes, I think of the work of Holy Cross. Education is the first thing that comes to the fore, whether it's in parish work or at schools or in the mission. And we as Holy Cross often describe ourselves as educators in the faith. It was in the lovely prayer that we started with today. So thank you, Jessica, for that prayer through the Holy Cross Heritage Month. And I want to hone in on this phrase as the gift that we in Holy Cross have to offer. I don't have a ton of experience in Holy Cross, a brother for 7 years, but I want to draw from that brief experience to kind of help explain what I see as our gift to offer. And there's kind of two places I've been that I will kind of be drawing from. The first is Bangladesh, where I spent about a year. Before I made final vows, I felt kind of deeply drawn to Bangladesh, and I asked our superiors if I could spend 1 year there before making my final commitment to Holy Cross. Fell in love. I still feel like there's a chunk of my heart that is stuck out there, and hope to return someday. But in Bangladesh, education is absolutely a huge gift that Holy Cross has to offer. For one, it's to the students who might otherwise never receive such an education. I was serving in a rural area where graduating from the 5th grade was considered a big deal. So Holy Cross offering primary schools, offering high schools in areas where students would otherwise have no chance at an education is a true gift. It's a gift at new life. It's, as Moreau would have said, like a work of the resurrection. But even more so for the country as a whole, education has been the gift to kind of on behalf of the Christian people. So Bangladesh is in an experience of upheaval as they transition between governments, and there's been kind of outbreaks of violence against minority groups. And Christians haven't been perfectly insulated from that, but the reputation of education has done a lot to protect our minority Christians. People hear St. Gregory's High School, they hear Notre Dame College, and they say, yes, the Christians are educating all of us. And it's viewed by the people as the gift that Holy Cross, that the church has to offer there. So that was my experience in Bangladesh, of seeing, wow, education is a gift, both for the individuals we educate, but also for the country at large. And now here at King's in my 3rd year here, I see something quite similar. We often give an education for students who might otherwise not have another chance. We take risks on students who come from some areas in Pennsylvania right around us are some of the most poorly educated kind of regions of the state. And they often aren't particularly well prepared for college. But to be able to walk with students and see that they have the gifts and talents to do it, and to be able to walk with them through this education is a beautiful gift. And so much of that happens in the classroom, but a lot of it happens in all of what happens beyond the classroom, the formation that happens through the experience of having a roommate for the first time, the experience of going through the student conduct process when you goof up a little bit and need to kind of straighten that, get back on the right trajectory. The core classes that sometimes students are like bemoaning that they have to take, but in hindsight often name as some of their most impactful courses. There's so much that goes into the formation of students that we offer as a Holy Cross education. And the question I want to ask today is, what does it mean to be an educator in the faith? We don't just say that our gift is being educators, but we say we are educators in the faith. And so I thought I'd begin with a little bit of what I think is an incomplete answer. Maybe not a totally wrong answer, but an answer that just doesn't seem to capture it all for me. And that's the sense of maybe education in the faith being primarily catechetical in nature, that it's primarily about the what that we have to bring. That as educators in the faith, we are primarily about teaching what we believe, like the creed, the facts that or the truths that we believe, or even that it's about teaching about the liturgy, which is how we express what we believe. Being an educator in that sense is valuable as a part of what we do. And it's understanding in settings that might be primarily Catholic to see that as what it means to be an educator in the faith. Because we are teaching those who are already in our circle what we believe, helping them deepen their understanding about the faith. But in the two settings that I have found myself in Holy Cross, in Bangladesh and King's College, I've been in settings where most of the people around me are not Catholic. Bangladesh is only 0.3% Christian. And so most of the people around me were Muslim, Hindu. They don't have any kind of basic grounding in Christian belief. And yet, even though our schools were filled with 98% Muslim students, we were offering an education in the faith. It was not primarily catechetical, but there was something going on there that was education in the faith. At King's College, we're about 40% Catholic, and probably the practicing number is lower than that, but our students identify, about 40% of them identify as having been raised Catholic. And here too, I find our students are very open. They just aren't coming to us with the same church background as they might have a generation ago. And so accepting the occasional theology professor here or in Bangladesh, most of the education that Holy Cross has to offer in these settings is not so much about the data of the faith. It's not so much teaching about what we believe. There's something more going on. Said in another way, or asked kind of this question another way, is the gift that we have to offer as educators in the faith primarily to be understood as the teaching we offer in the classroom, as the teaching we offer from the pulpit? Is it primarily communicated through words, lesson plans, curriculums, and assessments? My answer is no, but it's not that those things are bad. I'm working on a residence curriculum. That's like what most of my job is right now. So I do believe in the words and what we communicate, and the curriculum matters. The assessment helps us know if we're effectively teaching what we are trying to educate about. But I think there's something deeper going on in Holy Cross education. Later today, we will move into the lives of Father Dujarie and Father Moreau. For both of them, the content, the about, the what of the faith was certainly very important. Moreau cared a ton about the content of education for his seminarians. He wanted them taking the toughest natural science classes. He wanted them to be informed well. But for these men, it wasn't just about the better life brought about by a solid education, or even about a better world shaped by our education. But these two holy men brought the hope of the gospel. They brought the good news by the way that they engaged the people they were in relationship with. My proposal for today I'd love to get feedback afterwards. Send me a note. Send a note to Jessica. She can pass it along. My proposal for our reflection today is that the hope that we have to offer, the gift that we have that we are to give, resides here in the relationships that we form. We call ourselves educators in the faith. We don't call ourselves educators of the faith. If it were all about the what, the content of what we were communicating, then I think we would call ourselves educators of the faith. Of the faith suggests a faith that is something that can be like simply passed down by words. It's all about the about, learning about God, learning about what we believe. And this kind of education is good, but it could also be replaced by artificial intelligence. It can do it sufficiently well. ChatGPT is shockingly knowledgeable. If we were educators of the faith, I think we would really kind of be machine-like in trying to find the most efficient means of communicating these truths we believe in the most effective manner. And the relationships that would kind of come about from that would be seen as like tangential or ancillary to the work of education. But we don't call ourselves educators of the faith. We call ourselves educators in the faith. And to me, the word in has a sense of being a part of what we are communicating, that we're so connected with the words that we're sharing, that we're also offering ourselves, that we can't really detach these truths and just dump them off on somebody and walk away, but that in our education, we are offering our very selves to the people we encounter, whether they are our students or our parishioners or simply the people we live and work with. Oops, lost my spot. Here we are. So we are more than just communicating about the faith, but we are inside of what we communicate, and we're sharing ourselves through our Holy Cross education. This is, to me, the good news. I feel like my time in Bangladesh taught me what was the good news about the gospel. It was good news to me all along, but to be able to encounter people for whom hearing the words of the gospel truly meant good news. I journaled every night, lengthy journal entries about how my eyes, I felt, my ears were opened anew. Because for them, when they hear that God is with them, that God isn't just kind of above and beyond them, but wants to be in relationship with them, they truly responded like this is the best news that they have heard. And this is the good news of the gospel is that God came to save us, but not by like waving a magic wand. God could have just kind of stayed on his holy throne and said, poof, you're saved from your sins. Great, come on, join me in heaven. But God does more than that and decides to become one with us, to become one of us. God's answer to the problem of evil is not a poof, your troubles are gone, but it's the cross, our only hope, our spes unica, the cross, the symbol of God's relationship with us. That God says, I see your suffering, and I will be with you in your suffering. I will share it with you. Not just I will tell you about how good I am and how it's going to be okay in the end, but how I will actually be with you in relationship through all of your suffering. God became one of us, one with us, not simply so that we could see the truth of God or to know about God, but so that we could be one with God in such complete relationship so that we are inseparable. That's what Christmas is all about, the incarnation, God becoming one of us so we can be one with God. And to me, this is the model of our ministry in Holy Cross as educators in the faith. God becoming one of us becoming one with God, and us modeling that for those we are in relationship with in our ministry. so that we are not just educators of a system of truths, but educators who are so united to the truth we are sharing that we share ourselves in relationship with those we serve. There's been a lot of growth and development in the field of missiology, or like the study of being a missionary, which was very important to me as I was kind of grappling with what does it mean to be a missionary in Bangladesh, or to be a missionary in kind of the hills of Appalachia. Um, and it's really been in relationship that I think I've begun to see like a new kind of turn in our understanding of what it means to work in mission. And it's not about becoming friends so that we can educate in the faith, but it's more about our very friendship being a part and parcel of the good news that we share. And we in Holy Cross do this so well. I say that not as a point of pride for what I have already offered, but because of what I've received. I came to Holy Cross because of that relationship that had been offered to me. I had been discerning some sort of religious vocation or priestly vocation, but what brought me to Holy Cross was relationship. It was the men who were so invested in my life that they cared about me. And they weren't there to just teach me about my faith, and they weren't even there to get me to be Holy Cross, but they cared about me. And they wanted to grow in relationship with me and help me grow in relationship with God. And as I look around and I see some of my fellow Holy Cross brothers, sisters, collaborators that I know, um, I'm inspired by the work that you do, and I see it lived so well. And this is why I believe this is a part of our charism, this education in the faith. How do we do it differently? We do it because we're so good at engaging in relationship, and not just treating it like we're sharing kind of wisdom or knowledge with others, but that we're sharing ourselves. We're sharing that experience of God that we have with others. We are men and women with hope to bring. There have been literally countless times. I've, again, only been in Holy Cross so long, but I feel like anytime I meet somebody from a Holy Cross parish, a phrase I almost always hear is, there is something different about this place. There's something different. There's something felt. They feel this charism. It's hard to describe, but it often centers around a sense of family. In higher ed, in the past month, the like new buzzword is belonging. And I call it a buzzword because people treat it like a buzzword. They use it because it sounds really good. But not everybody's very good at living that out, of living out a sense of family, of living out a sense of community. I've had students who transfer from other colleges, move to King's, or even students who come here like terrified of college or dreading it. And they've told me, a lot of places like to speak of community. There's something real here at King's. I feel that community. I think we do this really well in Holy Cross. What we offer is in relationship to people, and it helps them succeed. It helps our students grow and learn when they feel cared for. I had a student come in who's just yesterday, who's been forced to go to college at King's College, and she did not want to come here. She was very against moving out of New Jersey, has a poor relationship with her parents, but they're paying for education, and they told her she had no choice. She's coming to King's. And she was in my office going through some of the challenges she's faced this year. But in one semester, she's a second semester freshman, she has already, one, grown so much, but two, found people where she feels comfortable airing her grievances. Feels comfortable with Jasmine Giddings, who is our kind of director of our multicultural and international student programming. Feels comfortable coming into our residence life office to talk about the challenges she's had, she's faced. And to me, that speaks of community, a family that isn't just something used as a buzzword, but that's something that Holy Cross really helps come alive. If the good news we share is that God loves us, It wants to be in relationship with us. But if we weren't to provide any image or example of that, then people just wouldn't believe it. The good news would feel empty. In our embodying it in real relationships as Holy Cross, this is what helps the gospel come alive today. In our constitutions of the Congregation of Holy Cross, under Constitution 2, which is all about mission, is a section where we grab the phrase educators in the faith. And as I come towards the end of my reflection, I want us to I'm going to read through it twice as a chance to think about relationship. Already in the constitutions, we're connecting education with relationship. It reads as such: as disciples of Jesus, we stand side by side with all people. Like them, we are burdened by the same struggles and beset by the same weaknesses. Like them, we are made new by the same Lord's love. Like them, we hope for a world where justice and love prevail. Thus, wherever through its superiors the congregation sends us, we go as educators in the faith to those whose lot we share, supporting men and women of grace and goodwill everywhere in their efforts to form communities of the coming kingdom. Now we're going to have an annotated version by me. As disciples, we stand side by side with all people. Right away, naming relationship, that we're not above people, like dropping off our, wisdom and knowledge, but we are standing side by side. I have that image of Martin Luther King Jr. and Ted Hesburgh with their arms held kind of side by side, sharing their message of peace for the world in relationship. Like them, we are burdened by the same struggles and beset by the same weaknesses. Just like the God who decided to share our same sufferings, wasn't set apart, but we share that same experience of life with these people, and we are renewed by the same Lord's love. We experience it in the way that they do too. Thus, so just because of this relationship, that is what sends us forth as educators in the faith, to those whose lot we share, to form communities of the coming kingdom. Our gift to give, I want to propose to you all, and our gift that I would believe all of you have already been giving, is our very selves. As educators in the faith, we do not hand on the teaching of faith and then separate ourselves, but we build relationships as signs of the coming kingdom. We share the lot of those we are educating, and that brings great hope to God's people. It brings hope that the good news is real, that all those good and wonderful truths held in the creed, celebrated in the liturgy, taught in our theology classes, are alive and active and ready to sweep us up into relationship, into God's family. So I hope that this reflection, at the beginning I mentioned maybe 3 things I could hope, and if one of them happened, I'm thrilled. Hopes provide a little inspiration to strengthen our commitment to this gift. Being in relationship is exhausting. If my job were 8:30 to 4:30, they just wouldn't be exhausted every weekend and feel like I need to take a 4-hour nap every time. A relationship is exhausting. But I hope this reflection helps us strengthen our commitment to it, because we see how important it is to the work that we do as Holy Cross. My second hope is maybe it helped deepen our understanding of that gift. Helps us deepen our understanding of relationship, not as tangential to what we do, but as essential to that work of sharing the good news of hope. And the third thing I hoped for was a renewal of zeal for sharing that gift. We have such a beautiful gift to offer. I love being in Holy Cross because I believe that we are needed. Our work that we all share in is needed by the world. It's the only gift, this gift of relationship, that we offer as educators in the faith, is the gift that brings healing to our broken world. And so my last word to you all is thank you. I am like, I still feel like an adolescent in the life of Holy Cross, beginning to share myself and, looking at the elders in our community. Father Charlie Kochelik has been here for 42 years. He's 96, about to turn 97 years old, and is still employed by the college, just continues to give of himself. I think of the people I work with, our like lay collaborators. Mara Madrowski has worked countless different roles at our school, because of the need. She's always responding to what is the need of our students, and has kind of restarted careers, kind of sacrificing her own kind of comfort and lifestyle to offer herself in relationship to our students. I see that all around me in Holy Cross. And so thank you. Thank you for being an inspiration for me. And thank you for the work you have to offer and the gifts you have to give.
Thank you, Brother Jimmy. That was fantastic. Thank you. We have a few minutes for questions. And I'll remind people, if you have questions, to type them into the chat box over here, and then I'll propose them to Brother. But while we're waiting, so one of the things that I was really struck by your comparison, or your focus on educating in the faith versus educating of the faith. And as you sort of came and went into that, you use the words relationships and share so many times. And then, so just today is, I should note, a Feast of St. Paul's Conversion. And it always is interesting to me that, when the Lord speaks to Paul, he doesn't say, "Why are you persecuting my people?" He says, "Why are you persecuting me?" And that made me think when you said we have to be in a relationship with those we serve. But the flip side, I think what's special maybe about Holy Cross is we are also in a relationship with people who serve, because so many times we're the recipients, all the time we're the recipients of these gifts. And that's not true in every community, whether it's a religious community or not, an invitation to be in relationship with those who serve us. So I'm just curious, again, this idea of sharing, and you even started talking about grasping versus sharing, and where grasping seems sensible, but sharing is how things grow.
I this morning was also thinking of St. Paul, because God, for his healing too, sends him in relationship to a person who felt hurt by Paul, sends him to go meet Ananias, like has this vision of, and is like physical touch to his eyes to heal his eyes. Yeah, I love it. Is I think what is so needed in the church from Holy Cross is this mutuality, the sense of standing side by side, and that I have this gift to give you, and you have a gift to give me. And I think you're exactly right, Paul. Yeah, it is really. Yeah, I did use the word relationship and sharing a lot. Yeah.
Special. So thank you all.